Hello, hello. I'm back, and I have now in my Instapot. I have I have it on saute. Have my Instapot on saute, and I've already boiled some smoked turkey tails in 4 cups of chicken broth. I have in here. I need to add in. I will be adding in 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Yeah, I use the HEB. I just use the regular HEB brand. Okay, nothing fancy. You can use whatever brand you want to use. And I'll use a teaspoon of brown sugar. I don't really add a lot of brown sugar. I'm not trying to make the greens sweet. I'm just trying to cut some of the bitter taste from the collard greens. Just trying to cut some of the bitter taste from the collard greens. Kind of wasted a little bit. Let me get this cleaned up. I like everything nice and neat, so when I'm cooking, I don't have any problems. Okay, here are the collard greens. I've already washed them, cut them up. And so I have my brown sugar in here, my chicken broth, my Cajun seasoning, about a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, some teaspoon of onion powder and garlic powder, and I always put in a teaspoon of Worcestershire sauce. Okay. And so now I have it on saute because collard greens, they don't shrink as much as mustard greens does. Okay, so we got the collard greens. We're putting them in the see. I'm putting the collard greens in. I usually season my my water real well, and I like to cook my meat until it's before I put my collard greens in. Some people with the Instant Pot, you can put it all in at one time and it does well, but I am old school, so I still like to see mine. So I still because I have the time for it. Right now I'm just trying to get it down in the down up in the juices in the broth, so it'll kind of shrink just a little bit, so I can add some more to it, because I don't want to have too much in here. Okay, you don't want to do that. And then I'll add some more in. Always find you something in them. And I wash the greens really good. I do like to cut up, wash my collard greens, and then cut them up. You see how they cut up? Like that. I just take the collard greens and roll them, and then cut them. Okay? This is about 2 pounds of collard greens. I'm only feeding 4 people, so this is a good amount. Okay? And once I get it really in, I like to fold the meat over, because when it's cooking, I want my meat to be the juices and the meat to be all through the greens. Okay, so now you can see what the meat. I did the smoked turkey tails, and the reason why I use the smoked turkey tails is because I have found them to have the perfect amount of the ratio of the bone that's in the turkey tail, which gives you that extra flavor. It has, believe it or not, turkey tails have a lot of meat on them, and they have fat, and so you need that ratio. Well, I like that ratio because it gives my food that right. For me, I get that southern flavor, and because I am not for any religious reasons or anything, but because I'm cutting back on eating pork. So I've been for the last, I want to say about the last 5 years for sure, I have been cutting back on the pork. And I tell you guys all the time, make sure that you are washing your hands in between while you're handling this, handling your food, and making sure you're keeping your temperature right. And it is boiling because the Instant Pot is actually on saute. Yeah, it's on saute. And normally, so if you can, I'm gonna let you see down there so you can see what it looks like in there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So now you can see this is 2 pounds of collard greens with 2 large smoked turkey tails, a teaspoon of brown sugar, a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of onion powder, some Cajun seasoning. I use this Cajun seasoning. I just sprinkle it in until it felt good. I put in a teaspoon of this garlic powder and a teaspoon of this onion powder. That's what I use. I use the brown sugar. And the last thing I am going to do is I am going to add in some Better Than Bouillon vegetable seasoning. We're going to add some of this, the Better Than Bouillon vegetable seasoning. Okay, it's Better Than Bouillon seasoned vegetable base. Okay, this is what it looks like on the inside. It's brown. So I'm gonna give it a nice little scoop, like a heaping teaspoon. Okay, and mix that down in there. Sometimes when I'm all in myself, I will add in, instead of doing all the extra, I'll just add in some Worcestershire sauce. Believe it or not, it has the onion, the garlic, all the other seasonings in it, and it gives it a good balance. So you see how I got that? Let me see if I can find that line. Where's my line? Here it is. I want you guys to see the line. See that line? So I'm right at the halfway, okay? And right here is the max. I'm right here at the halfway point, okay, guys? And see how it started off heaping? You just got to put it on saute while your liquids are in there and let it kind of slowly cook it down. You see how the meat is all through it? You see that? Okay, so these are the collard greens. And I literally, because I like my collard greens, cooked real tender. Like a lot of people just like them, and I'm cool with however you want them, whatever texture you want your collard greens on. This is my lid. Let me show you. Let me put the lid on and let you guys see that, and then we'll go from there. Okay? So I'm put my lid on. Wait. There you go. And then turn. I'm putting the let me see if you can see it. Okay. I'm making sure that the vent is closed. Okay. And then I will put, can you see it? I will I'm special like that. I gotta first cancel it, then I'll start it up. And for my collard greens, I like to cook them on 45 minutes. So I will I do this and it'll do 50, and 50 is fine with me because it's night, and I'll just let it cook and it'll beep, and I'll be close by to turn it off. Okay. And so with the collard greens, I did a video earlier today making the homemade cornbread dressing, and I gave you the recipe for the cornbread, but I did not, and I'll go back and add on what the other ingredients are, because I used in the cornbread dressing I used a small hen, a fresh hen, and went to the meat market and got a small fresh hen and had them to cut it up the way you would cut up a chicken in the chicken parts. And then I boiled it. It took a long time to boil it. I didn't use the Instant Pot. I literally boiled it on the stove. So it had to boil for about 3 hours, medium high. And I had in there a whole, let me get it. I used the whole 3 1/3 cups of this. I buy this at HEB. It's called Creole Seasoning Mix. Creole Seasoning Mix. And it has in it chopped onion, celery, bell pepper, green onions, and garlic. So I use a whole one of those in there, 1 stick of butter, and I use the Better Than Bouillon roasted garlic and the Better Than Bouillon chicken. I use both of those in there, and put my Cajun seasoning to my taste and let it cook down. I added extra celery because with poultry, for me, I found that if you're making cornbread dressing, if you cut up some extra celery in it, you'll notice the difference. And I put in a tablespoon of rubbed sage. And I just mixed everything together, the 1/2 pound of butter, and just mix, and and I had 2 small packs. Let me show you what I'm talking about. In it, I put in 2 1 1/4 pound of gizzards. See, this size, 2 1 1/4 pound of gizzards in that cornbread dressing so that it will come out good. And so for me, I have a trick too for the collard greens. I usually take my collard greens. My mother taught me this. She said collard greens have to, my mother was from Morningsport, Louisiana, where if you're looking for it on the map, it will be Mooringsport, right outside of Shreveport, Louisiana. And my mother told me to take, because collard greens is a winter green, and so when the cold hit it, it causes the bitterness to kind of go away a little bit and add a little sweetness to the leaves. And so she said the hack to it was wash your greens cut them up, and put them in a freezer bag and stick them in the freezer for about an hour, and let them, or an hour or overnight. And then the next day, it'll have, the greens will have a crispiness to it, the leaves, from it being frozen. And when you cook them, the green itself will not be as bitter. So that's just a little tip for you. I told on my last video that every year since 1981, November 1981 is when every year from November 1981 until till Thanksgiving Eve 1981 until Thanksgiving Eve 2007, every year I cooked Thanksgiving dinner either on the phone with my mother or in person with my mother, and we laughed and talked, and she told me about a lot of things about her history and where she came from and why she did the things that she did. I remember asking my mother, she was making cornbread dressing, and I was like, Mom, I said, Mom, you didn't make, this not the way you made cornbread when we were little, because we were in the kitchen with her cooking. Again, I say, even in the earlier videos, you'll know that I started cooking very early. Very, very early. Actually, all of my sisters, we all started cooking early. I think my sister Jackie started the earliest. And she's the oldest. However, we would get in the kitchen. I was like, this is not the way you used to cook the cornbread. And she says, I know. I said, you told us we had to have rough cornbread so that the cornbread dressing would be good. She said, I told you that so that you would feel good and not feel bad about that we didn't have the good stuff, she said, to make the cornbread just right so it'll be nice and smooth. So now I know to make the cornbread dressing with buttermilk and fresh buttermilk and things like that, versus just doing, making the cornbread with water. Yeah. So it's things like that. During the holidays, I look back, and even though my mother has gone on to be wherever God wants her to be now, wherever her life took her, I know that the memories that she left with me for Thanksgiving, this is the first year I could really, really enjoy it, because every year I kind of like getting off to myself and not being with others, because this is the time I spent with my mother. Now I'm just enjoying the time God blessed me with her. The time that the knowledge and the wisdom she sowed into me, the things she taught me is amazing. I have, in my 56 years, I have been a blessing. I received a blessing from her, became a blessing, and began to bless others. So we're going to cook. We're going to put these collard greens on, and I think I need to, let me cancel it. I'm sorry, guys. I was talking. Let me put it on, and we'll, and we'll have it to cook for the 50 minutes and let it cook down. Once that is done, I've already made, it's beeping now to let me know that it's getting ready, okay? It went to the on button, okay? And it's on the pressure cooker. It's on high pressure, okay? And so we're cooking our dinner for tomorrow is, woo! Again, I say, to God be the glory for my parents. My mother and my father could cook. So the dinner for tomorrow is, my husband loves turkey, because he came up, he's much older than I am. So he came up during the time when turkey was the, woo! And so we're doing some turkey parts for him. I'm doing I've already injected the turkey parts, the turkey wings and turkey legs, and just letting them sit in the refrigerator, and we'll put them in the oven on tomorrow. And I'm putting them in a baking bag so that they'll stay moist and just be delicious. And so I'm doing that. So we're having the turkey parts for him. Even though I'm cutting back on pork, we're still having a spiral ham, glazed in with honey and brown sugar, and some spices. And then and then I may even do the not sure if I'll do a couple of, because I have some in the freezer. I may do some Cornish hens, I'm not sure. And after that, for our sides, we're having cornbread dressing with the hen that I have on the previous video as well. I'll do the video tomorrow when I make the seafood cornbread dressing. And on the previous video, I told you guys I do not like crawfish. Please don't comment all them bad comments. You know, there are things that you don't like. I promise not to say ew. Okay. However, I'm using the lump crab meat as well as the medium shrimp. No, large shrimp. Lump crab meat and large shrimp. And so I'm using the broth from the shells from the shrimp, and I'm adding in that Trinity that I showed you guys, the bell pepper, celery, onion, and I always add garlic in and some the better than bouillons in there, as well as my spices. The good part is when it's all said and done. So we're gonna have the two dressings, the cornbread and the hen cornbread dressing and the seafood cornbread dressing. We'll also have broccoli, rice, and cheese casserole. Now I like to add chicken to mine, so I do, and my son, everybody done start liking it that way. So it is what it is. I made some giblet gravy. And we're also having candied yams. I'll do a video on those as well on tomorrow, because I like to make them then. I made the cornbread dressing, but it's in the refrigerator. We're going to bake it tomorrow. I made the sweet potato pies. And my husband wants some cream peas. So we'll have cream peas with whole parts of baby okra laid over the top after the peas are done. I may even do a video on that. I'm making a 7-Up cake. I made the sweet potato pie, and my son requested a strawberry cake. So we're gonna make that. A strawberry cake is simply a can you guys hear it? It's getting ready. So I'm making a strawberry cake, which is simply a regular butter pound cake, and I just slice up some strawberries, put a little lemon juice and and a cup of sugar over the top of them, and let them simmer, set, and the sugar draw the juices out of the strawberries, and then put it on the stove and let it cook down until like a semi-syrup. And I fold some of, after it let it cool, and fold some of the strawberry syrup into the pound cake mix, and that turns it that pinkish looking color with strawberry pieces all through it. And then I cook the remainder of it down into a thicker syrup. And for my layering, because normally I make a 2 to a 3 layer cake. I love it. I'm from the country, and that's what we do. The 7-Up cake will be a pound cake, will be a bundt cake. And we're not doing a whole lot of cooking because we're not having guests. I have only one young lady who is quarantined in. She woo. If something catch her, ooh, but she is very, very, very careful. She's tested regularly, and she keeps herself well covered. She stays off to herself. And I just want to make sure that sometimes I am a mother of 2. However, as a pastor, you kind of mother other people. And I'm not her mother. She has a biological mother who is alive, who is amazing, who is doing what she's doing in her life right now, and I'm just doing the pastoral part. So I'm happy that she is going to come over. And look, guys, it's already, you see how it started already? Can you see it? Let me see. Let's see. Can you see it? The timing has started. Okay. So I am going to, ooh, and this is going to be my baby when I start making the cakes. My son blessed me with it, so I'm just grateful to God for that. And so for now, that's it. I hope you guys enjoy, and I will be back to show you the remainder of what comes up next after the greens are done. We'll put them up and we'll be good to go. You guys continue to have a blessed Thanksgiving. Think about the things that God has done in your life. And most people have given up on 2020. I am grateful to God because in the midst of 2020, God kept me. That's my testimony. So, and that's a whole lot of our testimony. We may not use it. However, we're still here, which gives us another opportunity to get it together. Love you guys. See you on the other side of the collard greens being done. Bye.